Is that working?
Can we be heard?
Hello?
What is that thumbing noise? I'm hearing myself in the past.
Hello?
Sorry, we're having a little technical difficulties.
We need a technical difficulties card.
Are we gonna talk about that?
What is that from?
I have no idea. It's in memes. I've seen like a guy who's about to get kicked in the crotch.
I apologize.
Oh,
I
no.
apologize, folks. You're gonna have that weird thumbing sound in the back.
But can you?
Could I go try turning off the fan?
I mean, I don't think that's the sound.
Oh, my hair. I look like an idiot.
That's okay. We all do. Do you hear it?
I hear it. I know that sound. It's the sound of electronics.
What about now?
Still there.
You see, folks, this is what happens when we go live sometimes, and I'm late.
This is what happens when we are broadcasting from our living room with 10 minutes of preparation.
And
That's not fair. It was 23 minutes of preparation.
And passing around the earbud is how you pass around.
Although,
the
I mean,
infection.
This is the real way that monkeypox is translated, you guys.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no!
yeah. Once we get a mic, everybody, we should be fine.
That's the hope.
So anyway, I was making bad jokes about hosting. Today we're talking about the Harry Potter books versus film and some of the differences in the translations there. But first, I'd like to do our introduction for Off the Bat.
That's alright.
So, today we're going to be talking briefly off the bat about the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the direction it's heading. And mostly we're going to cover 2 trailers and what we're excited for. And you can assume anything we don't talk about, we're not excited for. So, first off, She-Hulk. Jed, thoughts?
So they're clearly going for like an Ally McBeal fun detective comedy sort of vibe, like weekly serial, well not serialized, like episodic. It's just, we'll have some fun doing this. And so it's a problem that the trailer didn't make me laugh.
Yeah.
It's not a problem that most trailers don't make me laugh, but if it's trying to be funny and I'm just sitting there blank faced the whole time, 2 or 3 chuckles, not impressed.
Yeah. For me, before they had cast and created the She-Hulk show, I always thought in the back of my mind who would be a good She-Hulk, and I thought Rachel Weisz would have been a great She-Hulk, and it would have been believable that she was cousins with Bruce Banner and all that.
Yeah.
Unlike this woman who's like 20 years younger than him. It's possible.
Yeah. I have cousins 20 years younger than me.
It's possible, but why would we ever heard? Well, yeah.
I have lots of cousins.
Yeah. I have my dad had 7 sisters, so I have cousins who are, I don't think any of them are 20 years younger, but there is probably a 20-year gap in there somewhere.
Right.
Regardless, and I thought it would be cooler if it was more of a body horror, like, oh my gosh, my body has changed.
Like a metaphor for puberty.
Yeah, like, I mean, that could be the comedic aspect.
Right.
But it's like, I'm like a She-Hulk, but I haven't lost my mind. And it's sort of like, I always envisioned it more like the Thing from the original Fantastic Four film, where it's like, crap, what's happened to me, and then slowly accept yourself, and all that good stuff. But they're really going for, what I was surprised is they're going for a lot of sex appeal in this show.
Which has always been a part of She-Hulk, but that's not all she is.
And it's never been my favorite part of She-Hulk.
Agreed.
Now, there's going to be breaking the fourth wall, which I don't know how that will translate with the rest of the MCU.
I mean, all it really was like a Jim Halpert style look at the camera. Just a quick little squint, wink, and nod.
And
maybe there'll be more.
That's also a part of her as well, before Deadpool.
Yeah.
But in a show setting, maybe it will work. I don't know. But again, I agree with Jed. It didn't really impress me as particularly funny or anything cool. There's only one thing I thought was, alright, that's alright, but then it made me a little nervous. At the end of the trailer, if you haven't seen the trailer, you have Daredevil and he shows up in the apparently the red and yellow costume.
Yeah.
And one of my first concerns was I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Wait a second. Is that CG Daredevil? I'm not sure how I feel about that. I've never seen a CG Daredevil since 2003. So take that as you will.
I'm sure there was brief moments in the Daredevil Netflix show where it was CGI, but
Possibly.
the fact that we don't know when, it was like, oh, maybe like one shot here, but you wouldn't know.
Yeah. So, but this one was like kind of blatantly just the way he rolled and moved. And maybe Charlie Cox and his stuntman are getting older. That's fine. We'll see. Maybe that's the best part of the show. Maybe it's the worst part of the show, and it turns out to be great. I can't say that I'm excited that much. So. Moving on, Wakanda Forever. It should have just, and that's what it should be called, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
it shouldn't be called Black Panther, honestly. You were going to say something?
I was going to say, okay, ordinarily, when a first trailer comes out and we don't get much, we don't see much, I'm totally fine with it. I'm usually the guy saying, guys, look, it's the first teaser, we're like 8-9 months out, this is just kind of a taste of kind of the flavor of it, just give us a general idea of the experience we're going to have, not necessarily what it's going to be about, just, okay, here's kind of what you'll feel. I'm fine with that. The movie's less than 4 months away.
Yeah, they've been doing
a trailer with one line.
Oh, does that only have one? It's mostly visuals, isn't it? My son, it's just my son is dead. Huh?
Yeah, it's just like, you know, man, I've lost my family.
Shoot.
Cool. Ordinarily, I would not have a problem with that not telling us anything. But on a movie where we have no idea what's going on, you know, where the main star is dead and they said, oh yeah, he's going to be dead in the movie, we're not recasting. But also Black Panther's going to be in it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of big. Are you gonna let us know?
Yeah, what is this about? Yeah, potential spoilers. They've released Lego images for the toys for Wakanda Forever. It shows Shuri in a Black Panther-esque looking outfit. So
right.
And you know that's kind of the predicted Black Panther for this movie, which I'm not particularly interested in.
Right.
I think we both really like the idea of M'Baku, the big ape guy, being Black Panther, but you know, whatever.
I know you and I disagree on this. I'm a big fan of Shuri, the character. She should not be the new Black Panther because the role of Black Panther is not just you take a magic flower and then okay, you're good to go. T'Challa trained his whole life to be the warrior that he was. One second. Testing audio. Sorry. Technical difficulties.
I think I may have it fixed. You're a little quiet, but I might be able to fix that.
Okay, I'll just project until we've gotten it fixed. Sorry, we're working out some kinks, but she very deliberately did not say, I'm going to learn how to fight. She went the science route, and because of that, she became the smartest person in the MCU. You don't exactly just casually become that. I don't imagine she had a whole lot of spare time to learn self-defense and stuff like that. And you saw that in previous movies. Whenever she was attacked, she was like, I'm going to stay back and kind of do the Iron Man thing. Or anytime someone gets close, like Killmonger, okay, I'm done. I'm dead. There's no hope for me. And so saying, okay, we will take this nerd and make her the greatest protector and defender of Wakanda. Unless the whole movie is her training. I'm not one of those people who says, oh, you have to, like, a man can show up and, you know, not train and a woman has to train the whole time. I don't care about that. And for a lot of things like superheroes, I don't care. It doesn't matter. They have, like, magic powers and stuff, whatever. But they very deliberately showed how Black Panther is how he is. And all I'm asking is that the same standard that applied to him be applied to her.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing with Shuri is, as time has gone by, she's progressively become less offensive to me.
Sure.
Still, I think there is some annoyance I have with her. Regardless, though, I agree with exactly what you're saying is we see that, like, there's a joke in the first film where she's like, oh, anyone challenge him? And I challenge him. And it's a joke. It's like,
because it's ridiculous.
Like you would do, it's ridiculous. Like you would do that. Like if one of the bodyguards did that, it'd be like, oh, yeah, they could be a challenge.
Yeah, like, I would buy Okoye being the new Black Panther. Yeah, Nakia being the
Yeah.
new Black Panther, even though she's not really combatant so much as a spy, I would still buy it,
Yeah, yeah,
but not Shuri.
no, and that's the big crux with this film, is that the passing of Chadwick Boseman. I read an article about how people want to just recast him because the character is more important than the man who betrayed him. And I'm kind of on that line of thinking as well. I'm like,
Right.
what's Denzel Washington's son's?
John David Washington.
Yeah, John David Washington was my first pick. After I saw him in Tenet, I was like, that guy could be the next Black Panther.
I always wanted him to be recast, but I also wanted Carrie Fisher to be recast. But hey, look how that turned out. Maybe it would have been better if she was recast.
Yeah, maybe Meryl Streep as Princess Leia would have been. It would have been super freaking weird.
Yeah.
It's better than stock footage. That's
Yeah, which they're not even doing stock footage in this one, so maybe it'll be better. It's different.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I think we'll segue into some things we like. For me, what I liked from the trailer, everything to do with Namor.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I
All that aquatic stuff, the design work, the vibe of it was wonderful.
Yeah, the underwater stuff, the aesthetic that's very Aztec.
Yeah.
I really like.
Like, okay, there's been a lot of great thrones in the world out there. Like the Iron Throne is super cool. I mean, heck, T'Challa's throne was cool. You're not going to be as cool as a throne that's built with the ring of a mastodon shark there. That was
pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so it looks like an excellent Namor film, potentially. But as far as Black Panther, not so much. And that's the big problem is I just don't see it holding weight in the same way without T'Challa. Like, and as far as storytelling purposes, they've killed him off sort of in the last film, and then they did it in the Infinity War, and now he's dead for real, and it's like, all right, it's I don't know what to do with that. So I'm not a big fan of that.
You could have set this sequel in the 5-year gap in the snap, where just don't have Shuri be in it, but like all those other characters survive.
Yeah.
So you don't have T'Challa. We're telling the story of Wakanda and how they deal with the loss of their king, which is what this movie is going to be about anyways.
Yeah.
And then that way you can like wait 5 years and then recast when people aren't so sore about the whole issue.
Right. And the other thing that came to my mind that I liked, and I think you kind of liked, was the idea that if Namor were to be the one who killed T'Challa in this film, that would give him weight as a character, as an antagonist, as potential antagonist. So that's the only thing that I was like, okay, that would be kind of cool, but we'll see. But as a whole, not too impressed. Like Jed said, 4 months away, and they did the same thing with Thor. Waited forever to give us the first trailer.
But even then, the first trailer told you like,
What
hey,
is this about?
he's doing his own thing. He's chilling with the Guardians of the Galaxy. But then his life gets turned on its head when his ex-girlfriend comes back and has the same powers.
Yep.
At least gives you a premise, other than we're sad the dude is dead.
Yep. So, and at least it did tell you. But it's that waiting. And they did the same thing with Spider-Man, actually. They waited ages to release the trailer.
Like, for the longest time, I've been on the train of people are releasing trailers too early, wait until about 6 months, but now it's getting to like 3 months out.
Yeah. Yeah, a year ahead is way too early.
Yeah.
Way too early. Unless you're John Wick, release more. Anyway, as far as all the stuff that's been announced, the only thing that I'm trying to think if there's more than
they announced many other projects. They saved most of Phase 6 to be announced, I'm assuming, at D23 in a week or so here. Jeez. I will say, there is one project that I'm very interested in. It's the next Avengers movie, Avengers 5, Avengers the Kang Dynasty. Because, for one, just the Kang Dynasty is an interesting story from like 2001-ish, so, they're not just making up their own Kang story, but I loved the performance that Jonathan Majors gave as Kang in the finale of Loki. Yeah. What should have on paper just been, okay, we'll introduce you to a villain you've never met before, have him give you like 20 minutes of exposition and then he dies. It became just like this gripping thing, like every single word. I loved it. And so seeing that he's going to be in other movies building up to him as a major antagonist, I'm very, very excited about that. It's like Thanos if he were human.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. And also, I'm a big fan of the director, Destin Daniel Cretton. He directed Shang-Chi, so I'm very excited for that movie.
Yeah.
Less so about Secret Wars. I'm really getting tired of multiverse stuff.
Yeah, is that what the Secret Wars? I thought
The
Kang would be the multiverse stuff.
So it's Kang Dynasty, followed by, well, like 2 movies, and then in the same year, Avengers Secret Wars. So there's going to be like 4 movies, 4 Marvel movies in like 2025 or 2026, whatever. First will be an Avengers movie, the last will be an Avengers movie.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll see.
And
We'll see.
There's still more to be announced, apparently. So.
Mhm.
And it's like, oh, I guess we didn't get enough, you know. So. And yeah, I like King a lot. He's the second villain I want to see the most. The one I want to see the most is Doctor Doom. Can't get what you want all the time. And King is a happy, close second for me. So that makes me happy. For me, Daredevil, Born Again. I read the comic. It's a very good comic. I think it was the most emotionally satisfying comic I've ever read. Not necessarily cool, but it is emotionally satisfying. I recommend it to anybody who's into comics. I was talking to Aaron about Born Again, and I was like, I was a little worried that they would replace Matt Murdock with Elektra, and Aaron said, nah, they'll probably replace him with Echo, and I'm like, please don't do that either. It's more fitting, I guess.
Yeah.
But don't do it. Don't do it, Marvel. That's stupid. He's already disabled. Just leave him alone. Because he's white and straight. Leave him alone. Let him be a disabled hero. Okay. Other than that, I always want Fantastic Four, but that's not for ages.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get more news about that. I'm assuming we're getting the cast and director announcement at D23 as well. We'll see.
Other than that, I don't think I have anything else to talk about.
Yeah. We're kind of Marvel completionists, but even we're going like, I mean, we'll watch some of this stuff, but we're excited about 2 or 3 of these projects.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, if it's good, I'm happy. At the end of the day, winning cures everything, so we'll see.
I remember doing a brief poll on YouTube for somebody's channel. Sure. Like, which Marvel project are you most excited for? And I think like 44% of the people were like Daredevil.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding, because we know at least what has been established in the Netflix universe is solid.
Yeah.
Whereas everything else is uncharted waters, and some of the waters that we have already been wading through hasn't been quite as good yet. So. Anyway, moving on to. Are you ready for us, Rob?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. There's no transition or anything?
No, not to the main show. Not yet.
Okay.
But if you guys can think of anything in the comics,
it's been a long day.
In the comics
in the comics section, next to Stefan. No, yeah, if you guys can think of any good transition, I'll do it. Oh, and please subscribe.
Please do. So today, and this month, is sort of the Harry Potter month. Tomorrow is his birthday, which my sister will be making a cake for. Brendan will be providing the butterbeer.
Of course.
And then I asked what I should bring, and they're like, potatoes. And then they're like, wait, we're not going to have them yet. It's fine. Alright.
That's pretty Irish.
Yeah, well, Seamus Finnegan loves potatoes.
It's true.
So,
Is he Irish? He's Irish.
Seamus, I don't
I'm
know
not an
where
expert in their nationalities.
No.
Well, he supported the Irish team for.
You'd know better than I.
Yeah.
I've read the books many times when I was young. I haven't read any of the books in at least 10 years.
Well, it's sort of like if your team doesn't make it, you go for the team that you root for. For example, England didn't make it to that World Cup final. So it's like
That's true,
the Bulgarians or the Irish, you're going to root for the Irish because you're from the UK. So that makes sense.
I'm excited because I just recently listened to the book.
Right, the fourth one?
Yeah.
Oh, that's my favorite.
It's my favorite book, too.
Yeah, I really like the fourth. Let's talk about some of those differences. I guess we could start with the fourth, since it's my favorite. Which one's your favorite, Joe?
Movies or books?
Start with books.
Probably the third or the sixth.
Third and sixth are pretty solid.
Mhm.
Yeah, the sixth one's really good.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah. And movie?
Probably the sixth, seventh, or eighth. Or
Part
yeah,
two,
sorry,
whatever.
second, sixth, or eighth.
Second. I really like two too.
Yeah,
Actually,
I think it's
solid.
really underrated.
2 is one of my favorite ones.
It's the longest one, unless you count the two parts together.
Right.
Otherwise, it's the longest one, and it's really good
That's
adaptation.
true.
Mm-hmm.
It's super long, but it's really cool.
They got
It's
the
awesome.
murder mystery of it as
Mhm.
wonderful.
Maybe we'll do that too. Like towards the end, we'll list our favorite movies and books in order.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know how I'd have to write down a list and think about that.
Okay, well I know I can.
I don't know, maybe
probably
Robert can
start.
do it off the top of his head.
Well, we could. I changed my mind. Let's start in order. Like first film versus the first book. What are some changes or things that we liked or we wanted to see or
I think
missed
that
out on?
Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or Philosopher's Stone, however you want to do it, its biggest strength is also its biggest weakness. It's not really an adaptation of the book so much as it is like a direct translation of the book.
Mm-hmm.
There's very few deviations. It's mostly just, oh, I'm seeing and feeling exactly what I saw and felt when I read the book.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't bring anything new to the table, but it doesn't take anything away either.
Yeah.
It was a great starter, like a
Yeah.
primer for the entire series.
It may have omitted things, as
Little
in
details like Snape's trial and stuff like that.
all those little things, but it, like you said, I mean, it's a pretty short book. They actually wanted to do two,
Mhm.
which I thought was interesting because it's like you do the first one and it ends with the Quidditch, Harry winning the Quidditch match.
All right.
I don't know if that would have
Huh.
worked.
Yeah.
I don't know that you got to see a very compelling movie there.
Yeah, what's the conflict? Draco's a jerk.
Draco's the main. Draco and Snape are the main antagonists.
Draco stole the Sorcerer's Stone. Next movie, Draco opens the Chamber of Secrets.
Yeah, it was all Draco. No, it was Snape. You know.
Yeah.
But I think that's pretty accurate. I think the big omission that I mean I don't care in particular.
Mhm.
I could take them or leave them. But peeves I know is everyone's pet peeve.
Well,
I don't have a soundboard
he's
yet,
there
guys.
for like background comic relief throughout
Yeah.
the books. He doesn't do anything meaningful other than really annoying Umbridge, but
I mean, yeah, that was.
she's annoyed by everything, so we kind of get the gist of it.
Or flying with an army of house elves.
Right.
later. But everyone really that a lot
We
of
were
fans
very attached
very
to him.
attached to Peeves. I had no idea what a Peeves was until I listened to the books. And
Yeah.
was like, oh, he's a funny, amusing guy.
Yeah.
But again, like you said, it doesn't hurt my feelings as now in the book.
Mhm.
I know other people feel very strongly otherwise.
Mhm.
You know, they even cast the guy. And
Mhm.
apparently he's so funny, but they had to cut him.
Now, I will say this because, yeah, I'm kind of partial to it too. But, yeah, in the books, I do love Peeves. And the thing is if they put him in the movies, I think what would have benefited is the fact that we do have a constant comic relief character, especially for the later books.
But isn't that Fred and George?
You got a good point. Yeah. Well, and, I mean, when...
And
Up
Ron.
until about the 6th book, Fred and George, and then
Yeah.
they're in
I mean,
the
the sixth-
radio
the sixth-
show.
The sixth movie does a decent job of being lighthearted without
Yeah,
much
it's
of
the
them,
6th book.
but
Yeah.
at that point there's not really supposed to be a ton of
Yeah.
comic relief. It's supposed to be
No.
pretty serious.
Yeah, well, and the other thing with Peeves as well is the fact that he's kind of the reason why they get caught some of the times.
Mhm.
Right,
Because they'll start shouting out.
he breaks their cover.
But I mean, they do pretty well without him.
Yeah.
They get him caught, like Mrs. Norris in the first movie. Mrs.
Yeah.
Norris catches them.
Mhm.
Instead, Peeves being like, wee children.
Yeah, you don't need him.
potty,
Yeah, there's a wee potty. Students out of bed.
I want to touch on something real quick. That's kind of a blanket thing that I love about the adaptation of Harry
Mhm.
Potter, but also a criticism. It's like a backhanded compliment.
Oh, nice.
J.K. Rowling was very. She was not going to give up on the fact that no non-British person would act in her
Oh,
movies.
brother, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was a wonderful decision that limited their options, and they shouldn't have done it. If you want a general rule of almost exclusively British actors. That's the way to go, because let's be honest, the Brits are the best actors on the planet. They have a long history of stage acting, way back to the days of Shakespeare. Yeah, and if you're on stage, you have to be a good actor every time, so it makes you the best actor. And if you're working with material like Shakespeare, you have to work hard, but then you'll know what to do. You can handle anything. So you take like some random brilliant character actor from the stage of Britain, and you give him a role in a Harry Potter movie where he's only going to be on screen for like 2 minutes, you know they're going to kill it.
Yeah.
But it's not only Brits who can do that. Like,
Yeah.
for example, we'd watched Game of Thrones earlier this year, and you remember Max von Sydow? I'm pretty sure the whole reason he was cast in that show, maybe 3 episodes, right? And like 5-minute scenes in 3 episodes. Pretty sure the whole reason he was cast was for that, like, like that one moment of like, oh, have I had enough training? Can I do it? And just no.
Yeah, no, just for that.
Or like in The Force Awakens,
oh, brother,
when he was cast just for the something far worse has happened to you.
Like,
if you need a guy to like 2 minutes of screen time and it leave a heavy impact, he was the guy to do it. And guess what? Swedish, not British.
Mm-hmm.
So while the casting in these movies was pretty close to pitch perfect, and there's not really anyone that I could say, they're not really the best for the part, Robin Williams really would have made a wonderful Professor Lupin or Hagrid or all the other parts that he really lobbied for.
Yeah.
I would have loved.
And I love David Thewlis, but
Robin in hindsight, it's like
go watch Dead Poet Society. Go watch Good Will Hunting. He is playing Lupin.
Yeah, he is a good.
I didn't think about that.
He's a good actor, and he had a limited time on this earth, and it's a shame he never got a single role he wanted to. Think about him versus first guy who played Dumbledore.
Richard Harris.
That one, Richard Harris. He didn't want to do it. He did it, and he did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Again, the British idea. But Robin Williams wanted to do it. Imagine how much passion he would have put into any role that he would have given him.
Yeah.
Even as the Hunchback of Tom at the Leaky Cauldron.
Oh, he could be fun with that.
That would have been fun.
Yeah.
Watch out.
The third one is surprisingly funny.
Yeah.
Good film. But anyway, for the first film, I guess we could talk a little bit about Dumbledore, just generally speaking, starting with Richard Harris to Michael Gambon.
Michael Gambon, yeah.
Gambon. So, I'm of the opinion Christopher Plummer should have replaced him, but that's my opinion.
That's interesting.
Because he's a well-ranged actor who could.
Canadian, another great actor who's not up for the task apparently.
Yeah, but a wide range, and he can do British, obviously.
Yes.
And where does I go? And he could do the darker side of Dumbledore, but also kind of transition from the sweet Dumbledore.
Like, Richard Harris was an amazing actor. I'm absolutely positive he could have nailed those darker aspects of Dumbledore. But when you watch his performance in those first 2 movies, he's very much love Harry. It's the warm, friendly, amazing mentor side of Dumbledore. As much as I know he would have crushed it, it's hard for me to picture that same guy in flashbacks saying to Snape, like, you sicken me, you're absolute filth. Michael Gambon did bring that darkness that later Dumbledore needed, and I think he did a great job doing that. Yeah, Christopher Plummer is kind of fantastic at both. So
yeah, so he could,
again, that's a role that Michael Gambon did a great job, and I love his performance. A Canadian might have been better.
Yeah, he might have been better. Because sometimes with Michael Gambon, he's either too angry or he feels tired sometimes.
I mean, there's the Goblet of Fire moment that everyone loves.
But he's great in The Half-Blood Prince. And, and I think the third film and the sixth film are where I like him the most.
I agree.
I think he does a really good job. Fourth one, I still like the movie. Fifth one, I really don't like him in the fifth one. Don't you all have studying to do?
I think this is going to be a hot take. Not necessarily about Dumbledore, just the fourth one in general. I think it's my least favorite of the movies. I don't like the pacing of it. The haircuts, they're ridiculous. But hey, I mean, look at my hair. It's ridiculous. So I can let go of that. But
red hair, red beard, it must be a Weasley.
The whole time in the fourth movie, I'm either sitting there thinking, when is it going to move on? Or how are we this far into the movie already? I feel like I haven't seen anything.
Yeah. and it's
Which one are you talking about?
The fourth one, Goblet of Fire.
Okay.
Weird editing, weird pacing, for me at least.
right, and that's fair. A lot of people, I've heard that a lot actually, so
Mm.
it doesn't come as a surprise to me. For me, I just really love Mad Eye Moody.
Oh, he's so much
Easily
fun.
my favorite.
Brendan Gleeson was great.
Oh, fantastic.
The
Yeah.
favorite defense against the dark arts teacher, hands down,
Mm.
because
We're gonna kill things in front of the kids.
yeah, I'm gonna teach them hard lessons. Lupin was good, but he wasn't always present because
Yeah.
of his affliction.
Mhm. And he's not exactly the most, like, he's great at, getting Neville to come out of his shell. Like, come on, kids, we're gonna learn. Not the most, like, kids, we're gonna learn.
And then, oh,
Constant vigilance.
Yeah.
after
I've
I've traumatized Neville, I'll reach out to him and help him out. But then again, he's in my mind. If I were to adapt it,
Mm.
the first lesson, in the first bit, it's
Mhm.
the real Moody, and then Barty Crouch Jr. comes over and
Which-
possesses him. Or
In his, like, one scene,
Impersonate
like,
him.
1-2 scenes, David Tennant is a highlight of Goblet of Fire for me. I love his performance.
you
I
shall
just
be
like David
mine if
Tennant.
you shall be
Hello,
yours.
Father.
Hello.
I do like, because they don't do that in the book.
Yeah.
But I like in the movie how he does that little tongue twitch right in front of Barty Crouch, and he just kind of like stares like,
Mhm. Yeah.
And he runs off in the woods and ends up dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Although I do kind of wish they still had that, like, from the book where he showed up and he was like, oh,
Yeah.
fighting the Imperious Curse. I know why they didn't, but
Yeah.
I would have liked it.
We kind of got off track from the first one. First one is, I think Jed put it perfectly. It's basically a pretty good translation. But I feel like the second one is an even better translation just because it's longer. The only thing I can think of that they omitted is the Death Day Party, which they didn't really need.
Yeah. I love how the second one, it does a great job of putting you in just how horrifying the situation is. It,
Yeah.
like, for a PG movie, at times is dripping with dread and suspense and literal blood on the walls. It gets violent at times, it gets dark. It's like, alright, here's an 11-year-old girl. She's dying. Wanna watch?
Yeah, there's a great part where it's the final message,
Mm-hmm.
and it's her skeleton will lie in the chamber forever. And just John Williams' score at that moment, and Ron reading it and realizing it's his sister and all that. Her skeleton will lie in the chamber. I was like, wow, great stakes, great horror, great adult stuff. It's very much like an 80s
Yeah.
PG
Yeah.
because it delves into darker and kind of that serial killer vibe stuff. It's a great mystery detective thriller.
Basilisk is great. Also, I don't know the name of the guy who plays Tom Riddle in it.
Oh, he's
but
great.
He's really creepy, but he has that charming nature to him. Why you understand why people would follow him, even as a crazy 16-year-old.
Yeah, and he nailed it. That guy really nailed it as a young. The other guy that got in the sixth film, I was like, you're not handsome enough. You're too weird.
You look like a 9-year-old, even though you're supposed to be like the same age as this other guy.
You have a Winnie the Pooh forehead that's driving me nuts.
You're not. I don't understand why Slughorn would have told him. I don't understand why Slughorn would have told him about Horcruxes. This guy looks like a standard, creepy kid from a horror movie.
Yeah. Versus number 2, that guy he knocks it out of the park. Perfect from book to film adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
Not even adaptation, just translation from the book. He's handsome enough. He's dark and creepy enough.
Mm-hmm.
And
which is ironic. He's literally torn from the pages of a book.
Yeah, right. And that's his whole
even in the flashback, he gave that vibe of like, I'm in the right, I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah. He needs to be charismatic.
Or he's like, so what's going to happen to the person's responsible? Oh, well, if we don't catch them in the school, we'll be closed. Is there something you wish to tell me? He's just like, no. And even though Dumbledore's staring right into his soul, and he always did that really well.
Yeah, that's true. that was a really good way of doing that, because you constantly see that in the books too.
And then he says the same exact thing to Harry. And Harry withholds the information for different reasons, less selfish, cruel, evil reasons.
Right.
But it's a great just exchange between Tom and Dumbledore, and then Harry and Dumbledore. Just, all right then, off you go. And that guy just really good antagonist, really good translation, really awesome. Basilisk, easily my favorite creature in all of the films, hands down.
Even as just a side antagonist, Jason Isaacs, great as Lucius Malfoy. But of all the castings for the second movie, I think we can all agree Kenneth Branagh's the best as Lockhart.
Oh, fantastic.
The only thing he could have done more is just be like, Harry.
Like
Harry.
the one, like, he makes you totally forget that this is a creepy kid who loves the adoration of young girls and is surrounded by 12-year-old girls. And you're not like, oh, this is creepy. You're like, oh, look at him. He's harmless. Really.
And all the girls. And even, I love the line. Mom usually is like fussing. Mum fancies her. Mum fancies him. Yeah. Good stuff. Good memories. I think I'll watch that a lot.
I love the awkward laugh he gives when he's in the class.
Tell me, Harry, is there any better way to spend attention than writing fan mail with me?
Answering my fan mail with me.
I do wish we had more Lockhart moments, like in the book, because I feel like he would have done amazing.
Yeah.
Like when he.
But you also totally believe him when he's like, I'm going to kill you two and claim credit. Claim credit by, oh no, we didn't get here in time, but I did what I could, and oh, these poor boys, they died.
You lose your mind at the sight of her mangled corpse.
Yeah. Again, Shakespearean trained actor.
Yeah.
Well, the reason why I say that is because like there's a bunch of different lines of like you can see the teachers getting annoyed with him, like him correcting Professor Sprout on how to fix a willow tree.
Oh my gosh.
Like just seeing those moments would have been like, oh, this is great. And then that final part where he's like trying to rush and get everything done, it's like, yes.
And also a side note, I quote this all the time. Whenever I see this wonderful actor, all I can hear is, "Oh dear, we are in trouble."
Yeah, good stuff there.
Like he's always going to be the guy from Game of Thrones for me, even though I was raised watching him in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
But that line is always going to just be fresh in my memory.
He was a great cast for Filch.
For Brendan and I, our favorite line from that is, "You murdered my cat. I'll kill you. I'll kill you!"
And you totally believe it.
I was like, he's about to murder Daniel Radcliffe for a stupid cat, you know.
Yeah, my favorite thing from him was actually towards like the 7th book.
The
8th movie, where he's just like sweeping, gets up a rock and just tosses it. He's like, I'm done.
This is stupid.
They didn't even say anything. He's just tossing stuff around.
Those first two films, pretty good translations. Third film, we got a new director, and he changed. Yeah, he changed the outline of geography of Hogwarts.
Oh yeah.
Which they stuck with after that. Because Hogwarts used to be kind of on a cliff in the lake. Now it's, and the geography. Hagrid's hut is like down here. The castle is here, and we have some more bits and pieces of the castle.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting. He made that change, and I didn't notice for years. And then I was like, hang on, in the first film, it's like a giant cliff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he not only changed that, he had John Williams really change the score, and it might be the best score for Harry Potter from John Williams.
It doesn't have as many iconic songs, but those were all introduced in the first one.
Right.
I do think it fits the movie best.
Yeah, and pretty fun ones like the Night Bus song and all that. But as far as comparing it to the book explains a lot more as far as what happened between Sirius and Peter and the Oath Keeper or whatever. And they managed to slim it down just enough where it's like, okay, I can understand that. And also Gary Oldman as Sirius Black.
Great job.
I didn't, when I listened to the book, I think of someone completely different.
Yes.
Richard Armitage.
Oh yeah.
He's supposed to be tall, handsome, and all that. But Gary Oldman, surprisingly, knocked it out of the park.
I have a problem not with his performance, but with kind of the way he was portrayed when you first see him at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Because he is supposed to be like a man consumed with vengeance and all that. But reading it, you get the sense that, oh, he's not crazy. On rereading it, you're like, oh, I totally, like, he seems to have his full faculties about him. He's just very upset about this one thing.
Yeah.
Totally. But when you're first reading it, like, oh, this is scary. I don't know what's happening. When watching it, when he's like, I suffered for 13 years and ask that, you're like, okay, this is a man who maybe isn't all there in the head, then, even on rewatch.
And then later when you watch him with Harry and they have that tender moment, it's like, odd transition from no, only one's going to die tonight. Are you going to kill me, Harry?
Yeah,
versus the book where it's like, Harry, are you really going to kill me? Like someone who has as of a sound mind actually versus this psychopath.
It's supposed to be shocking that he's normal.
He's got his faculties about him.
Yeah, because he was the only one who wasn't driven mad by Azkaban.
Right,
and so it's not just supposed to be like, oh, it's like he's an anime protagonist. There's something different about him. No, you're supposed to be like, you should be crazy, but you're not. There's something inside you, some sort of inner resolve, some sort of belief, some hope, optimism, something that can't be broken.
Yeah, it's the belief that I am innocent. And then once he sees that paper in Azkaban, the Weasleys, and he sees the stupid rat, he's like, oh, I have a reason to escape. And he finally does.
Which, did they ever explain that in the movie? I don't think they did.
They had the paper. I don't know that they did.
Yeah, no, he did, because he just said...
It's probably something that you'd read on a BuzzFeed article. Hey, did you know he broke out because you saw him in his picture?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, everyone in the Potterverse, whoa!
Yeah,
yeah
whoa,
so,
man.
Yeah, they never explain it. He just simply says, Peter Pettigrew is the rat.
He's like, yeah, and he's like, how did you know that? And it's a pretty important motive. So
they miss a key point in there for him. I mean, I still like the movie.
Yeah.
But
it gets tricky. That one's a good book and film. The tricky part is once we get to the time travel stuff. Yeah. Ooh, you want to introduce this early on?
I mean, thankfully they did say later, all of them were destroyed, so we'll never mess with that again.
Yeah, but I don't know that the movies did that. I know the books did that for sure, but the movies, all I remember is in the fifth one they destroy a whole bunch
It's not
of
a plot device we can go back to.
Yeah, they're like, this is the one time. That's it. As far as everything else, they got rid of Sir Cadogan, which is actually okay.
Yeah.
They have deleted scenes with him. He's okay. You don't need him.
Wait, they had deleted scenes of him?
Yeah.
I kind of want to watch this.
Yeah. I mean, it's okay. He's kind of like from the book, but it's like, we didn't need that. I can understand why you cut that. Yeah. They recast the fat lady. I mean, the funny thing is there's a Lego set that's the staircase, and then they have the old.
Really?
I wonder if they favor. They just favor the old stuff. That's why Darth Vader still has his eyebrows. So, fourth one, again, favorite book. I really like Mad-Eye Moody. Probably why I like it a lot. I also just like that we delve more into the wizarding culture.
Yeah.
And see different perspectives, French, and also the. Why am I spacing?
The
Bulgarian.
Yeah.
So, I like that. I just remember I really like films that sort of take a break from the main antagonist. Kind of like Return of the Jedi. The first 30 minutes has nothing to do with the Empire.
Right.
And we get a new villain. It's kind of the same in third Harry Potter and the fourth Harry Potter.
Right.
We get to have a little bit more adventure, but it also is building up to Voldemort.
Okay, I like Ray Pine as Voldemort. He brings this hammy theatrical energy that, especially as it goes on towards later movies like the Draco or the like, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. He never really scares me.
No, he's not.
Which, I mean...
There is one part where he did scare me. Seventh film, 8th. Where he's like murdering everyone in the Green Dots.
Yeah.
I was like, that was the first time you disturbed me.
Yeah.
With the blood at your feet. I was like, wow, that's graphic and kind of horrifying.
Right.
The rest of the time, it's like
You're just an obsessed fanboy of Harry Potter.
Like when he's like, go on, pick it up, go on, get up. And it's like, is Jim Carrey playing Voldemort?
Were they trying to have a villain? Like, were they trying to have a villain who wasn't super like an over-the-top performance like you might see from Jeremy Irons?
Yeah.
I love performances like that, but when you're trying to build him up as like the next Darth Vader, it didn't really work for me.
Well, I think the problem for the movies, it was more for the writing than it was the acting. It's usually how it goes, right? But like, because in the books,
the writing or the directing,
yeah, or the directing.
Which I have my qualms with his directing. It's the same guy. David Yates has directed like from the fourth one or the fifth one. From the fifth one all the way to the most recent Fantastic Beasts movie. They really need a new director.
Yeah, they need some new eyes on this.
Yeah.
Because the reason in my opinion, the first four are pretty good is because we got almost a different director for every single one of them. But yeah, the Voldemort, he's so funny in the fourth one. I can touch you now.
And that's the point I was thinking, because in the book, he has this persona of, I am calm, I am in control, but on the inside he's raging mad.
Right.
About a lot of
But
things.
there is supposed to be, this, when in that moment, that line in the book, there is supposed to be this, like this unbridled joy, but also this simmering hatred underneath.
Yeah.
I can touch you now.
Yeah.
Not, I can touch you now.
Yeah. Because it's like, oh.
Right.
It's like,
It sounds like a
what?
Family Guy clip.
Yeah.
And my favorite portrayal,
Mm.
not from Ralph, like that's different. But I feel like the first one nails it.
Yeah,
Just the
yeah.
creepiness, the weirdness. Harry Potter. Like that feels more like the Darth Vader, and they had some horrific designs.
Oh, I love their
for-
initial design for Voldemort.
Where it's like they
Yeah.
took Snake-like to a whole new level, where it's like demon Snake-like. He has like fangs and his smile, grin goes all the
Oh,
way up.
yeah.
And like
That was
visually, that was always my favorite aspect of Voldemort from the books, because I've never thought he was one of the great villains of literature, but I love that aspect of the the more Horcruxes he creates, the more evil he becomes, the less human he becomes.
Yeah.
Even affecting his physical body.
Yeah, it's just like.
And now, oh no, he's bald and pale and has no nose.
Yeah, and he has really pretty blue eyes. I don't get that. But,
I mean, that's just Rick
it-
Fine. Come on.
yeah, the reason it resonates, I think, is because it's like the story of the devil. You're
Yeah.
an angel.
Mhm.
Like, Voldemort's beautiful. He has potential. He's
Yeah.
intelligent. Everything. Even though he's from nothing.
Now he's this fallen
And
monster.
now he's this monster who has all the power, but he's lost his soul, his looks, everything.
Yeah.
And it's just like the evil queen from Snow White. It's
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
I will do whatever it takes to be number one, even if it destroys my
Right.
body and my
Like,
soul.
it's a simple motivation, but it works.
Yeah, and it reaches out to us because there's something kind of eternal about that kind of evil that we're like, yeah, I recognize
I get
that.
it.
I see it for as it is. Moving on to the fifth book and film. I remember that was the first time I disliked the Harry Potter film. Honestly.
Really?
It was in the fifth one. Because there's a part where Harry's just at the train station and you see Voldemort and his head is on some random guy and he's like staring at Harry and then he stares back. And then it just...
That trope's been done better many times before
Yeah.
and since.
And I was like, what the heck? And then later, when he like enters Harry's head, it's the same Voldemort in the suit and he's just like... I was like, what is
Listen to the
going
Beatles.
on? but
It is, I think, in that movie is the first duel between wizards where I actually was like, oh, this is interesting, this is cool. Because usually before and since, it's let's throw different colors at each other.
Yeah. Well, originally, I was disappointed by the duel just because I had...
In the
heard
books,
book.
it's built up as the best thing ever.
Right, and they have
And it's good.
statues moving back and forth.
Mhm.
But then in hindsight, I'm like, that was pretty decent compared to what they've done since.
Yeah,
Like,
what we've had.
a lot of the duels have not engaged me.
No.
Like my favorite.
There was some fun stuff in Secrets of Dumbledore.
Sure, yeah, but yeah, it took a. I think there's one other duel I like. I like it when they're in the coffee shop in the seventh movie, and they like
yeah.
the guys are still
After the
pulling out
wedding.
their wands. I kind of like that one because they finally used Patricius Totalis the first time in forever, and also it was kind of a cool showdown.
Yeah.
Kind of John Wick style.
Yeah. Which that's one of my problems with the movies, like in the fighting and stuff, is it does become very boring.
It's just,
I'm pointing my wand as hard as I can.
But
Whereas in the movie, it's the way I play it out in my head while listening, or sorry, the book.
yeah.
right.
It's very fast paced. Like
Mhm.
I gotta say, spell quick before he counters it.
But in fairness, I think
And lots of dodging.
like no one reads the Harry Potter books for the action. It's not like one of the great action novels series out there. You read it for the wonderful, charming characters and the world and the mysteries and all that. And the books do, or the movies do that well for the most part.
That's why we stayed with him for so long.
Right. Even the 6th movie, which is such a dark, mysterious, creepy book, and they made it kind of a high school comedy.
Yeah.
I actually kind of like that.
It works because all the stuff with the Draco Snape stuff is still taken 100% seriously.
Yeah.
It's the one time all the other books and movies, Draco's behind it, someone else. Snape's behind it, it's someone else the whole time. The one time it actually is Draco and Snape behind it, and you buy it completely because Tom Felton. I mean, I go back to this quote over and over again. The only thing worth writing about is the human heart in conflict with itself. Everything else is just set dressing. And oh my gosh, his conflict is wonderful.
Yeah, I remember. I guess we're moving on to the 6th one.
I guess, we don't have a ton to say about the 5th.
Yeah,
It's there.
I didn't care for it. So it's the first one I remember not caring for. But the 6th one I was happy with, and I was kind of surprised that people didn't like the 6th one.
Yeah.
Like, huh? That one was actually good. It was the last PG of the Harry Potter world.
It's weird to return to PG for that one.
Yeah, and when you think about it, it's like, oh well, the big moments of horror or whatever. Dumbledore dies, and the rest of it's like.
The scariest moment is with the Inferi.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
all that stuff in the cave, I love. I was actually kind of let down by the Inferi because okay, and then the zombies come out in the fire. Cool. All the stuff leading up to it was so tense and creepy.
Yeah. And in the book, I think it's even better. My imagination was definitely more satisfying than they were in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But again, going back to Tom Felton, I remember seeing in the theater and I thought, holy crap! Just him closing the cabinet and saying the words, opening the bird's nest, or the apple was all chopped up.
Or crying in the mirror and then hiding it immediately when he sees Harry's there.
And then attacks him. And all that. I was like, holy crap, Draco Malfoy. I'm feeling bad for Draco Malfoy, and he's compelling. I was like, I didn't think they could do that.
He's a one-dimensional bully before.
Yeah, but they finally made him interesting, and the actor really pulled it off. This is good stuff, and just the music and everything, just the sadness. So I did like the 6th one. It might be my second favorite film. I just really enjoyed that one a lot. I felt like Dumbledore, they finally toned back on the yelling, which they didn't have to do.
It's like that. His last line, that really soft, please.
That works. Please. And then Alan Rickman actually really good in this one. So, you give him. It's obviously the one that gives him more meat to work with. He's a very different portrayal. Not physically, but just his attitude. He, like in the 3rd film, when the werewolf comes at him and he walks the kids.
Right. You see that body. Side, okay, he's a jerk. In the movies, he's a little different in the books, but he's a jerk. But he is willing to lay his life down to protect kids he hates.
Versus the books, I always felt like this guy is just a cold-hearted jerk.
He enjoys torturing children.
Yeah. These are exactly. These are children, for crying out loud. Cut him some slack. But in the films, he was always a bit more obviously. You could see the good in him, even though he's snide and very mean to the kids. But he's not. I don't know that he delights it in the film. It never had so
he makes it kind of relatable. Like the moment when they're taking the test and talking to each other, he just grabs their heads and puts them down.
I love that. The fourth version.
But who hasn't had a teacher throw a piece of paper at a kid who won't shut up during tests? Hey, get back to work.
Zip it.
I'm trying to count how many times.
Right?
It's always some idiot in the back.
He does a lot of
that was me.
He does a lot of the same things, but they root it in slightly more relatable world, so you buy it.
Yeah, and so if you haven't read the books, his fall, even more shocking because it's oh yeah, I can see why you were on Dumbledore's side. Where in the books, it's always
why is Dumbledore trusting him? It makes Dumbledore look stupid.
Yeah. But this is holy cow, just kidding. And there's a great lead scene they should not have taken out where they have the choir singing, and it shows Snape looking into the sky. It shows Draco and McGonagall. Really beautiful song. Really beautiful foreshadowing of what's to come, and all these people know that something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
They don't know what. They're just change of weather or turning of the clouds. Snape knows his destiny's upon him. Draco knows his destiny's upon him. Everything comes to a head. You should not have cut that scene.
Yeah.
The best.
It's those nice little quiet moments that make all the difference.
Yeah, yeah. But regardless, again, we didn't care for the portrayal of young, except for very young Tom Riddle. I did like that portrayal.
Yeah,
he should have.
That kid was creepy.
He should have freaked out a bit more when his cabinet was on fire. Like it looked like, no, what are you doing?
I don't know. I actually like that where it's just like this dude made it catch on fire with his mind, and because it's not just a blank reaction of interesting. It's I can learn how to do this too.
Ooh.
I'm interested. Oh, let there be a lack of light, I guess.
We're getting to the darker stuff, you know? The light knew it.
Oh, this is how the films go, though.
Uh-huh.
They went from, oh, I can see everything, to, what's going on?
Yep.
It goes from a high school life to an adult wizard's life.
Adult wizard's life.
Yeah.
I feel like him freaking out would have been in line with Ralph Fiennes'
Right.
Just cause
right. Yeah.
I mean, they get
very over the top.
They get the young Tom Riddle right. As far as personality, it's maybe not necessarily the actor all the time, but the young actor in the one from 2, it's like, yeah, you guys nailed it pretty good there. So, but, and it probably is better with him not freaking out, but I feel like that specific take would have worked a little better.
Yeah.
But other than that, we like the 6th one. Any other thoughts? I feel like the Dumbledore drinking the stuff scene, we could have gotten more from that.
Right. That may have pushed it towards a PG-13, but the movies were already PG-13 anyways.
Yeah.
Because in the drinking scene in the book, it's
pretty hard.
It's gut-wrenching and like physically horrifying. And here it's just like I guess he hasn't slept in today and he's just really cranky.
Yeah.
Even when he's yelling, "Kill me!" He's just
and his eyes are like just shut. Kill me.
Yeah.
But yeah, the book it's pretty horrific.
Like he should be not just he shouldn't be angry. He should be terrified. And this is the first time you see Dumbledore
small and vulnerable.
Weak.
Yeah. But I am okay with the idea that they didn't have him die like a much younger man and do laps.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, he did.
Yeah, the boat was creepy enough.
I mean, he's supposed to be dying from his hand. Oh, another thing I thought was weird, some of these films omit the Dursleys. The 4th one omits the Dursleys. The 6th one omits the Dursleys.
It's true.
And it's like, that's weird. Like, Harry's gonna go on a date? Why didn't he add this? She's very beautiful, Harry. Like you would know. But, sorry, Dumbledore.
I mean, that was a good scene to kind of establish what the tone of the movie was going to be.
Sure, it's kind of like the 4th one in that it's the high school romance and love. They should have focused a bit more on Ginny. I feel like Joe Chang got more.
Yeah, the movies never did Ginny well. I know Robert has feelings on depictions of both Ginny and Ron in the movies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We'll get to that when we get to it.
Yeah. Moving on to the, let's just say 7 and 8. We'll just say 7th book. I feel like they're like nailing it pretty good. I was like, I'm not sure how a 2-parter will be. Probably appropriate for this. Where's Harry's triumphant speech? That's my biggest gripe. Where is his triumphant speech? There's a great scene, and we'll get to it in Daredevil, season 3. Daredevil has a triumphant speech. Fisk is powerless. Beautiful.
Wonderful.
They should. Both of them could have gotten an Emmy for it.
It came out the same year, very close, only a few months apart from Infinity War. And there was a legit question in my mind, which was the more impressive hero moment, the Thor bring me Thanos, or the Daredevil speech to Kingpin.
Yeah, and that, like I said, either of them or both of them could have gotten an Emmy for it. I feel like I was like, this is really gut wrenching. This is really good acting, and it's nice to see a moral character triumph over the evil and say, I'm not going to stoop to your level. I beat you.
How often do we get to see the good guys monologue?
Yeah, and say, I beat you because I'm the opposite of you. I chose the good side. And that's Harry's whole thing. Versus in the final film, they're like warping in and out. It's like, yeah, cute symbolism.
Sure.
I would rather have that speech. I'd rather have him, honestly, Voldemort dueling McGonagall and Slughorn. Wasn't there?
It was
Kingsley
all
as
the
well?
teachers. It was all the
Yeah,
teachers.
basically all the teachers, and then Harry's like running around in the invisibility cloak, and Voldemort can't touch anyone because he's blocking them. Like all the way up to that point, I really liked the film. But then when Harry just rolls out of Hagrid's arms because Neville grabs the sword, and they didn't quite screw Neville up. I'm glad that they still had him chop off the snake's head and all that. He's kind of like a last minute thing.
Yeah.
But in the book, it's so much cooler. It
Yeah,
does.
you think he's about to die. He got the hat on his head and
It's
catches on
fire.
fire.
Yeah, that's some messed up.
That was
crap.
a moment of Voldemort being a Darth Vader level villain. Like, I'm going to torture. I mean, he's not a child anymore by their standards, but still, I'm going to petrify this dude. I'm going to make him
Make an example of it.
And it's not just burning him. This is burning history. This is burning everything that represents Hogwarts and what they stand for.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he literally says when he puts the hat on, like, this is how we're going to decide the house, or something like that. What's the houses? But this is how we're going to do discipline or something here at Hogwarts. Puts on the hat.
I think my
catches it
house
on
is
fire.
sufficient for everybody. And it's like, oh my gosh. And he already won, but he's already making an example out of one guy who defines him.
Well, not because he wants to teach anything to someone,
No.
but because it's fun.
Yeah, he's
That's
like,
scary.
I can do it, and if you guys want to be a part of it, hey, let's play the game. His insanity is there. So it's just, I remember an article I read way back in like 2013. That like, how dare you take out Harry's triumphant speech? How dare you take away the fact that Voldemort didn't have power on anybody? They did nail. You stay away from my daughter.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember my parents actually, they went to the opening night for that, and everyone was cheering at that scene. She said it was awesome.
Yeah. And so that was satisfying.
This is a rare addition to the books, not necessarily changed, but something extra that was added. In the books, at the end, when Harry's giving a speech to a bunch of paintings, when he's like, oh, the Elder Wand will die with me because I'm not going to let anyone know I have it, and, life and peace for me. Cool. Deuces. Yeah. He's like, okay, that's fine. But when he just says, no, I'm snapping it, this is too much, it's gone.
Yeah.
That works much better.
I remember having conflicting feelings about it when I first saw it. I was like, wait, he doesn't do that. But then I was like, nowadays
he kind of does, but he it's a half measure.
Yeah. So, and it leaves the potential for somebody to be tempted. So, the fact that he's the only one between all these powerful wizards
shows he had more moral character than Dumbledore.
This everyman is like, you know what? So that's actually not a bad departure. So,
I do like how in the book he uses the Elder Wand once
to fix his
wand, and then he gets rid of it.
Yeah.
Which I don't mind didn't do in the movie, but they never showed him fixing his own wand.
I think that was my gripe. I was like, his wand, the history of him with it and all that, and fingerprints on it. I feel like he should have restored it and then he erased it.
Yeah, I'm fine with him not going to the pictures, but I do wish he did do that.
Yeah.
Like, quick repair up, snap, throw away, and run like, oh, what?
He's like, what about one? I'm looking for one. But
go for one.
Just be grateful it's not your neck. The only thing that from the first film that was weird for me was when Harry and Hermione started to randomly dance. That might work for some people. It didn't work for me because I was like, this is weird because they're like dancing and it's like, oh, I'm cheering you up.
Yeah.
Ron's left us, and then she sits down like she's bumming and she's like, that was nice. And I was like, I didn't go anywhere. Thanks for, killing time.
Yeah.
Other than that, I really liked the first one and most of the second one. I have one big gripe with it. Other than that, pretty satisfying ending, and it's rare to get that in franchises these days.
I don't like the trend it started of we'll split stories into multiple parts.
Yeah.
But it was a large book, and not just a large book because the fifth one's larger, but it was a sprawling story that it allowed them to spend more time with the characters and have it breathe a little. So it worked.
Yeah, I agree. So overall, I don't think we're upset with the translation from or the adaptation, depending on which film we're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
So we know Jed's least favorite film is the fourth one.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite film is either which one?
It's coin toss between the second and the sixth.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say the sixth, but it might change if you ask me tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Robert?
Mine would be, so my least favorite, I would say, is the fifth.
Mm-hmm.
And then my favorite is definitely the second. I really love the second one.
And that's films we're talking
That's
about.
for the films. If you're
Yeah.
talking about books, the fourth one is my favorite book.
Yeah. Fourth one is my favorite book as well. I really like the fourth movie just because it's on the book. But the second film, as far as nostalgia and my childhood, I would probably watch that one the most.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like the second one. I'm surprised that some people didn't like it until they revisited it and they're like, actually, this is really high quality. This is good.
Yeah.
How about books? Favorite book and least favorite book?
I think my least favorite is the first,
Okay.
and my favorite is either the sixth or the seventh.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
I don't really have a least favorite book. I do have moments in like the fifth and seventh book where I'm kind of like, I'm gonna skip this.
Let's get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, like,
a little slower.
I was talking to Jed about this a while back. Every video game has a certain level set where you're just like, ugh, it just drags on at
Right.
this level.
This is stupid.
That's how I feel about some of these books where I get to a point, like
Yeah.
a certain chapter, and I'm like, oh great, now I got 3 chapters of this.
Right. For me, it wasn't necessarily that there was any like chapters or parts or whatever that I didn't like so much as, you know, like the tone or various ways they would approach things, like little things. Like in the first book, Dumbledore's tool is called the Light Put Outer, and I think that's dumb.
Mhm.
Later books they call it the Deluminator. I like that a lot more. Just little things like that. The approach to the lore and the world, it felt more realistic, but still just as whimsical. It didn't lose anything. Whereas in the beginning it was whimsical, but I couldn't take it seriously sometimes.
Yeah. I think, as far as, I don't really have a least favorite book though. So I do enjoy all of them.
How about a least favorite moment?
Least favorite
Or
moment?
plot beat?
Can I just say Ron and Harry hating each other so much in 4 and 5?
Yes, you can say that. That
Yeah.
I'm just like, this is annoying.
My sister's.
Granted,
Yeah.
I gotta say this. J.K. Rowling did nail like the high schooler mindset. If you really think about it,
Yeah.
2 best friends, both guys, they're both idiots.
Well,
Also, I mean, she didn't write the screenplay for the 6th movie, but they did nail what it's like to be a dumb, stupid teenager at that time. You know, this person's got nice skin. What? As far as skin goes, I guess. Yeah.
Hermione's got nice skin.
I guess if you say so.
Yeah.
Or like, isn't it beautiful? The moon.
Yeah, otherwise, I don't.
That's one thing about Harry's character. They need to do more of the smart aleck Harry.
Yeah, he's kind of.
No need to call me Sir Professor.
He's both the dumb jock and the smart aleck class clown.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they need more of that. I think the 6th film is probably the one that nails that.
Yes.
It's like, Harry, sigh.
or she thinks it's because she thinks you're the chosen one.
Well,
I am the chosen one.
Yeah, that's the
Right,
only one
sorry.
that nails that pretty good.
I'm trying to think of my least favorite.
For me,
Nope.
oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say the one part that I would say my least favorite one, the one I skip the most, is their whole camp. Like once Ron leaves, until they go to Godric's Hollow, because that whole stretch right there in the book,
You want to hear them be sad and eat mushrooms.
pretty much. And I'm just like I'm kind of just get me back into the wizarding world.
Yeah.
So when Ron comes back and they start searching for the ray, that's when I'm like, okay, cool, let's do
Yeah,
this.
it picks up a bit. For me, and this is how my sisters describe it, essentially in the 4th book, Harry has his first period. And then in the 5th book, he's on his period the whole book. And that's something
Kind
that
of, yeah.
that's what I I don't mind the 5th book. I actually like it. I think they get start. I love the propaganda
Oh yeah.
that the Ministry does.
Like,
I love Dolores.
Little
as a
things.
villain.
As a kid, I don't know why Cho Chang all of a sudden started hating Harry for bringing up her, her dead ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
And then when I'm older,
or
I'm
for
like,
not talking
you
about it.
freaking moron.
Yeah. Or for not talking about it.
Right.
But and also Umbridge as a kind of a villain, a break villain. Some people,
She's a fun antagonist.
We need to talk about character differences too at some point.
yeah. But she's kind of a good break villain from Voldemort. And some people,
Voldemort has a presence, but it's mostly his presence in Harry's mind.
right, but she's physically present in everybody's life close to Harry, and she's a pain. And some people hated her more than Voldemort and wanted her to die more than Voldemort.
She does more cruel things in the movies than he does.
Yeah. In the movies?
Yeah, because in the movies he's like, look at me,
that's
I'm
true.
fun. Whereas she's just like, I'm going to torture you kids.
Yeah, I mean, she's more.
You must not tell lies, Mr. Potter.
And it's easy to overlook Voldemort like murdering people, but he's just so happy about it versus her.
He murders people quickly though. In the books he would take time with it.
Yeah, he would play with his food.
But they did a good job in the 7th movie when they had all those student teachers just floating around circles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was very Voldemort.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Umbridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, she. What does it know?
I love all that. Harry just being on his period for the whole book or the whole film. Not a big fan of that, and I get it. He's conflicted. Not into it that much, but he's just rude to everybody. There are great scenes when he is rude, like when he has the snitch and punches Malfoy in the face.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't think Rowling is exceptionally skilled at brooding, emotional. Look at all the angst.
Yeah, because the way my sisters described it in the 4th one, and I agree with them. When two guys are having a conflict with each other, at least in my experience, I just go bugger off for a while, and then I come back and
they'll yell at each other and punch each other, or yell at each other and leave,
and then
they'll come back.
After you're all beaten up and bloody, and you're sitting there, you want some breakfast?
Yeah.
like from Breaking Bad. That
Right.
was perfect. That's exactly
Harry and Ron.
What is wrong with you? You parked the van right in front of my house, you idiot! And he's shoving him. You really are stupid. And he punches them, and then they strangle each other, and then they go in the house. Want some breakfast?
Yeah.
versus J.K. Rowling's approach. She's thinking more of what women do, which is, oh, I hate you. They separate. And they don't talk to each
We're
other.
not talking right now.
But we'll talk through other people to each other. And Hermione's their owl. I'm not an owl. That stuff doesn't. I don't think she understands how guys work.
It would have been
when
funny
it
to
comes
see.
to conflict.
It would have been funny to see Ron and Harry beat each other up, and then want to go get some butterbeer?
Yeah.
Los Muertos? Yep.
Want to get a port key to Zonko? But yeah, those are just some things. I don't dislike. I kind of agree with Robert. I don't dislike any of the books in particular, and I understand Jed's perspective. The first one is slow, and she doesn't.
I do still like it. It's just
It's the least favorite. Yeah.
It's the least. I mean, it's creative, but it gets way more creative from there. It's a good foundation, but it's not the most creative she can be. But the 5th one she's not very good at writing those kind of conflicts, and that's one of my gripes with the 4th book specifically. Is that their conflict was it's not. Any other thoughts on your books and films?
Yes, character.
Tell us your thoughts about Ron specifically. I know you have feelings.
So the thing is, with the movies, I noticed that they don't give Ron a certain characteristic that made Ron who he is out of the group.
Yeah.
Because in the movies, he's kind of the coward background guy.
He's
the books,
both cowardly and dumb.
Yeah, cowardly and dumb. Whereas in the books, he's got the street smarts.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the street smarts, and he is courageous and loyal as all get out.
Mm-hmm. The only time he leaves in the 7th book is because he's been carrying the devil's soul around his neck.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is you see him, he's the courageous one, Hermione's the smart one, but she doesn't have as much courage as Ron does.
Right.
So they balance each other out in the book. Whereas Harry, he's kind of got both.
Yeah, it's
Like there's a wonderful moment in the 7th book where you're like, wait, you haven't heard of these stories? Like, no, we were raised on like Cinderella and Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And like, Cinderella, is that a disease? Things that are weird to them are normal to him, and that gives him a perspective that the others don't have. It makes him useful. But in the books, he's just, I don't know, blind me.
Yeah, and he's also got the smart alecky side of him too that you don't really get to see as much. But, and then Ginny as well, like, she's supposed to be this tough tomboy who grew up with several brothers.
Like, she would be the person who would she would get in a fist fight with her brothers and then say, want to get breakfast?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a fireball. She's a handful.
Yeah, she's a fireball. I mean, she's renowned in the books as one who can cast a very excellent Bat Bogey Hex.
Yeah.
And so, like, she ended up in Slughorn's Slug Club simply because he walked by after she cursed somebody. She's a fireball. And they don't really show that in there. I can kind of see why.
She's there for Harry to be interested in, Ron to like, oh yeah, I'm related to you every once in a while.
Yeah. Yeah. But I do like her as a character. And she's good motivation for Harry to try and stay alive. But, yeah, Ron's character is the one that bugs me the most, just because of that. That simple characteristic. Because Ron is the backbone for Harry in a lot of situations.
Yeah, it's like Star Trek. You have Kirk, Spock, and Bones. And Bones would be Ron.
Yeah.
Because Hermione would be
He's
Spock.
the heart so often.
And he's like, yeah, why don't you guys just see it this way? Stop overthinking it. Be
Trust
smart.
me.
Trust me, yeah. You know, and lay back, you know.
Yeah.
Stop being such a stiff Klingon, or she's not Klingon, he's a Vulcan.
Yeah.
Stop being a Vulcan, you know. It's
Yeah.
not all logic in books, Hermione.
Yeah, and then another, because you mentioned Umbridge. It's so funny because in the books, I hate her way more.
Yeah.
In the movie, I'm like, the actress did a great job, but I was like, I don't hate her as much.
They don't get her sadism out as much.
Like attacking Hagrid in the middle of the night and then stunning Professor McGonagall. That made you like, oh, I'm furious.
Yeah, and when you see illustrations of her in the book where it embraces
She looks as inhuman as Voldemort.
the toad likeness of her. Like if he's a snake and she's a toad, it's like, what? Reptiles are you?
Well, and amphibians.
Yeah.
Amphibian.
No, reptile.
No. Reptile. Yeah, it's a turtle.
I noticed that with the Harry Potter world, like, the more corrupt and evil you are, the less human you become with magic. Which is, I kind of like that aspect. But that's pretty much all I got. I just had to spout out that one because, I don't know, I much as I listen to the books, I like
Robert relates to Ron.
Yeah.
Tall, long nose, red hair, hand-me-down robe.
I mean, hey, all of his robes are hand-me-down.
That's why I'm not on the camera. So I never was good at Quidditch.
Yeah, Ron is really funny, but surprisingly inappropriate in the books. With his wine to lavender. As an adult monk.
You went there?
So, any other final books and films?
No.
Cast a Canadian or a Swede in your movie every once in a while, dang it.
Yeah, and switch up
Brits.
your directors.
Get your butt kicked by another country once and just cast everyone out. Thank you, Jack.
Anyway, so Robert, where can we find us?
You can find us on Twitter @OfCinematics. And you can find us here, for our audio listeners, you can find us here Saturday at 7:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Also, if you can't make this video, which we're sad that you can't, you can also listen to us on audio, on Spotify, Google Podcasts, some other obscure ones that I can't remember. But I'm terrible at uploading the audio, so I do apologize, but we're starting to get better at it. By we, I mean me.
Apology accepted. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, very much for having us today. Here we are, signing out.
Spike!